My name is Dr. RickyAllmon. I'm the author of the Life Lessons book, Living in Full Effectiveness. This book was inspired by my favorite book in the Bible, which is the book of Proverbs, which gives us more than principles and philosophies, but it provides practical application for daily living. It is important that we understand how not to just navigate the function of our life, but how to negotiate the roles in our life. Your functions may change, but your roles are constant. And so through the life lessons journey, I want to encourage and empower you how to turn your failures into your focus, how to use your fears as your fuel so that you can maximize your potential and be productive in your purpose. In other words, this book is designed for everyday people to get everything out of life. What's going on, everybody? It's so good to be with you tonight. I'm Dr. Ricky Allman, and this is Life Talks Leadership After Dark, where we seek to encourage and empower you to explore your potential, engage your passion, and expand your possibilities. And I believe there's something greater that's getting ready to happen in your life. And guess what? It has just started. At 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, the rest of your life has opened up. If you're on the East Coast, it's 9:30. If you're on the West Coast, it's 6:30. I'm glad that you're here. If you're on Facebook, and I know some of y'all are still coming in, you may have just gotten through with dinner or you're sitting at dinner, got your iPad sitting there. I hope you're not ignoring somebody else while you're watching, but I am glad that you're watching tonight. But go ahead, if you're on Facebook, share this on your timeline and start a watch party so that the people that are connecting to you can connect to this conversation. I want to make sure that those in your circles can hold you accountable, but also that you can hold them accountable for the things that they need for their life, because that's what this conversation is about. Every Thursday night at 8:30, we're talking about your life. I want to give you tools and tips and insights that would help you to live life at the highest level of purpose, of productivity, of prosperity in your relationships, just so you can have a great life. As a matter of fact, the word life, in the context that we use it, is an acronym which stands for living in full effectiveness. And so that's the purpose of this conversation. It's living in full effectiveness talks. We're having talks about your life and how you can live your best life. So if you're on Facebook, go ahead and share this. I see you all coming in. Go ahead and share this on your timeline. As you're coming in, shout out your first name and what city you're repping, where you're on from, what part of the country you're in. Happy 4th of July weekend to everybody that's out there. I hope you're already getting in your chillaxing mode. This has been some kind of year, hasn't it? And so I hope you get to enjoy the freedom of being you, enjoy the freedom of family, enjoy the freedom of everything that represents who you are. So if you're on Facebook, go ahead and share this. Invite some other folk to join. If you're on YouTube, I need you to subscribe to the channel. You got a little work to do if you're on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and like this video, and then click that notification bell so that you'll know the next time that we come on, and you can already be in place. You can have a front row seat to this conversation. For those that are on Twitter, share it on your timeline. And if you're on Periscope, y'all been hanging heavy with your boy, with your uncle, with your play cousin. I'm so glad that you're hanging out with me here tonight. Listen, I got a couple of things I want you to do. If you want to receive empowerment newsletters from me, I need you to text the word Ricky Allman to 22828. If you want to receive my empowerment newsletter at least once a month, I try to send something to you just to encourage you, to motivate you, just share some of my thoughts, some of my musings from this muddled, meandering maze that I call a mind. So if you want to receive our empowerment newsletter, just text. You can do it right now. Go ahead. You got your phone in front of you. Go ahead and text the word Ricky Allmon, no spaces, just like you see it on the screen, to 22828. And then if you say, you know what, I want to be notified whenever you come on live. I don't get a notification. I have to wait till I see it on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or Periscope. I want to find out in advance just to make sure you're coming on. Well, if you want that, text Impact Life to 31996. Text Impact Life to 31996. So if you want the newsletter, text Ricky Allmon to 22828. And if you want to receive the text notifications, text the word Impact Life to 31996. Are y'all ready to get into this conversation tonight? If you are, go ahead and tap the screen on whatever platform you're on. Release some hearts, release some thumbs up, give me some shout outs. I don't know what y'all doing tonight. Maybe y'all just sitting out on the patio somewhere. But I need y'all to engage me tonight. Talk back to me. So I need to know, shout out your first name, shout out what city you're on from. I want to know y'all hanging out with me and y'all ready to get into this conversation tonight. Let me notify a couple other people just to make sure that they know we're rolling so they can come on through here and hang out with us. I want to make sure that everybody that wants to hang out with us is connected to us. Well, I'm ready to get into our conversation tonight. Tonight, we're talking about don't waste your time. Have you ever told somebody that? Have you ever said to somebody, listen, don't waste my time? And that's what we want to talk about tonight. We're going to have a conversation about relationships. And we want to talk about don't waste my time. When it comes to life, life has two constants. There are two constants in life. Those constants, or things that are germane to life or intrinsic to life, you can't do life without them. That's what I mean. The two constants of life are time and relationships. You can't live life without those two things. You can't live life without time, and you can't live life without relationships. You've got to have them. As a matter of fact, if we're honest about it, the majority of our life and the bulk of our time, guess where it's spent? No, not sleeping. No, not eating. You know how most of our time is spent? Not even shopping. The bulk of our time in this existential reality we call life is spent where? I just gave you the cheat sheet. It's spent in relationships. Why? I know that's sobering, right? I mean, you had to take a deep breath on that. When you think about that the majority of your seconds, your minutes, your hours, your days, your weeks, your months, your years, your decades is spent with other folk. Now, can I ask you a question? I don't want to get into your business too quick, but I want to get you back to dinner or get you to dinner. How much time do you wish you could get back from some of the relationships in your life? Since the majority of your life and the bulk of your time is spent in relationships, have you had any relationships you say, you know what, I wish I can get that time back? That was an absolute waste of time. One noted motivational speaker and author, Jim Rohn, suggests that we are the average of the 5 people closest to our life. Think about that. Not just 5 people that you coexist with, but 5 people whose opinions matter in your life. 5 people that you choose to allow to influence your life. You're the average of the 5 people that's closest to your life. Now, that becomes really intriguing when you consider that clinical psychologists suggest that 1 out of 5 people suffer from mental illness. Now it may be 1 out of 3, they say. And they say it's to varying degrees. They used to say 1 out of 5, and maybe 1 out of 3 people suffer from mental illness, some mild and some severe. So think about that. That means on your job, if you can count to 3 or count to 5, 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 5 suffer from. I don't want to do the math on that, because then you're going to start counting everywhere you go. I wonder who it is. Well, the reason that's important is because if you're the average of the 5 people closest to your life, and if clinical psychologists suggest that 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 3 people suffer from mental illness, then you need to make sure that the 1 in 5 is not your fave 5. Now that's critical. You need to make sure that the 5 people closest to your life are not the 1 in 5s. And so that's very critical to understand. So the 5 people, you're the average of the 5 people close to your life. What that means, all jokes aside, is that your possibilities are inextricably tied to your partnerships. Think about that. What's produced as your life is inextricably tied to who's connected to your life. Now you understand why I say don't waste your time, because it's important. I know you say, well, that's cousin Betty, and we just hang out. She just negative all the time. Well, guess what? That negativity is being inputted in your life, and do you realize what goes in? You know the rest of it has to come out. So there's nobody in your life that's just there. Whether you recognize it or not, whether you give them a tag or not, whether you ascribe a significant role to them or not, there is nobody in your life that's just there. Everybody connected to your life is creating something for your life. Let that marinate a minute. Everybody connected to your life. Well, that's just my buddy. We just hang out. He ain't really got nothing to say. Listen, if you giving your time to them, then they're actually creating something with that time. They may be creating nothing. It just may be vapor. Do you have that kind of time to waste? Do you have such a surplus of time that you can afford to hang around with folk or connect people to your life that don't help you create anything with your time? And see, this is important to understand, because all relationships are not created equal. You do know that people are different. I mean, you can find identical twins. Their fingerprints are different. Their personalities will be different. So there are no 2 people on this planet that are alike. If you understand that truism, then you also have to accept the fact that if no 2 people are alike, then there's no one way of engaging people. So you have to engage everybody differently, because they are different, which means they bring different things to your life, and then you bring different things to their life. Here's where it gets a little sticky. You also come to understand that everybody can't handle everything about your life. There's some people you can tell them about your successes and what's happening for your life, and let me tell you, they'll go to the moon in emotional ecstasy with you. There are other people you tell, they give you a little patronizing grin, but on the inside, they might be jealous. There may be somebody else who just simply doesn't care. And you need to be able to identify who you are to give certain information to. Love is not monolithic. Love is universal, but love is not monolithic. What do you mean by that, Ricky? I'm so glad you asked. In other words, love is a universal language, like music is a little universal language. It can translate no matter what the nationality or the culture is. But love is not monolithic. In other words, love is not expressed in the same way to everybody. And the reason that's important to understand is because it doesn't mean that you love or like somebody less because you engage them differently. Somebody may say, well, I don't think you love me because you respond to me or talk to me or share things with me that ain't what you share with so and so, or I hear less, or you share less with me than you share with somebody else. So you must love me less. No, I don't love you less. I just respect your capacity more. So I may love you to the same degree that I love my other friend. But I know if I tell you certain things, you're going to go tell the universe. I mean, if there's life on Mars, Mars is going to find out before the words have fully formed out of my mouth. So I know I can't tell you. Do I love you less? No. I just respect your capacity. So that's important to understand. When it comes to loving people and liking people and being in relationship with people, part of your loving them is respecting their capacity and knowing what they can handle from your life so you won't be frustrated in your life with how they respond to your life. Let me say that again. It's possible to love people equally, but yet engage and show that love in different ways, so that you will know what to give from your life to those individuals. And that's very important to understand. One of the questions that leaders often ask me is, how do I know how much of myself to give? If they're dealing with a mentor or somebody who they are developing or coaching or counseling, how do I know, Dr. Allmon, how much to give? And here's what I tell them. Before you determine how much you give from your life, you first have to determine whom you're supposed to give it to and what it is that they can handle. That's important. Before you determine how much of your life to give in relationships, you got to determine, okay, who has the capacity for this? And I'm going to talk about that capacity a little more in a few minutes here. But who has the capacity for this? Who can really handle what's coming out of my life? So tonight, there are three types of people that I want you to consider. The first two are time wasters. The last type, is the type of person you want to spend time with. But there are three types of people I want to talk about tonight. I want to talk about wasters, takers, and incubators. All of us have run into one type or all of these types at some point or another. Maybe you didn't even realize that's what it was, and you didn't even know why you were frustrated with the interaction or with the relationship. Well, tonight you're getting ready to understand it. So I want to talk about three types of people: wasters, takers, and incubators. Let's start with wasters. What are wasters? How do you identify if somebody is a waster in your life? Listen to this. A waster is somebody who only desires information from you because it allows them to be validated by you. In other words, they feel that because of their closeness to you, that they're entitled to receive from you. And so they seek information from you, not because they ever plan to do anything with it. They just like the feeling of success by association. In other words, if I'm rolling in whatever you driving, I feel like it's me. If I'm eating wherever we dining, I feel like it's me. So I'm the big baller shot caller because I'm hanging with the big baller shot caller. These individuals are interesting because they live in a state of delusion. They live in a state of delusion because they create the illusion that if I'm around you, that means I'm on the same level with you. So they're not going to do anything with what you share with them. They're not going to improve their life because they are around you. They simply like the sense of validation by being connected to you. They don't plan to accomplish anything or serve a greater good. In other words, as I said earlier, it's just entitlement. Maybe it's just because, they've helped you do something in the past. So they feel like I have a right to this. So they like the affirmation that comes with being around your life. Now, I need you to understand this about wasters. Wasters will not make themselves responsible, and they're not planning to implement anything that you share with them. Now, they'll ask you questions, and they'll seem very sincere, and maybe they are sincere. But again, this goes back to this issue of capacity. With a waster, how can I say? Wasters, when you talk about incompetence, the lowest level of incompetence is called unconscious incompetence, when you don't know that you don't know. That's a waster. And that's the thing that makes a waster a burden, is they don't even know that they don't know. They know you're busy. So if they have the luxury or the privilege of getting to hang with you, they just glad to be around you. So they know how to role play. They know how to act the part. They know how to appear to have the bandwidth and the capacity to do something with what you share with them. But I need you to pay attention to their track record. Yeah, track them. Pay attention. Okay, so the last time we talked about this, ask them, hey, when we went out to lunch a month ago, and I told you that you should make that idea you had a business, what have you done with that? Don't let them off the hook. Let them answer. If they just start kikiing and laughing, make a note to yourself that you're going to have to limit these lunches that you keep paying for and that you've been paying for the last 10 years because they're not creating anything for their life. That's a waster. They just come around you to be associated with you so it can make them feel better about themselves, but they're not planning to do anything with any of the information that you give them. The second type of person that you come across is what I call takers. Now these takers, this can be an insidious bunch, takers, because takers are very intentional. Takers are very deliberate in their quest for new ideas and new information. The only problem with takers is they're not accountable. Wasters are irresponsible, but takers are not accountable. What takers do is literally what the tag and the label says. Takers come into your life to get the best from your life, but they're not going to make themselves accountable to you. And they're not going to show appreciation for the wisdom and knowledge that you give to them. My problem with takers is that they're not loyal. Another word for takers are people that are copycats. Remember, you were in school, they said they're a copycat because they want to be you, but they don't come with everything you come with. So they get around you to try to figure out how you do what you do so they can try to duplicate what you do. And a taker, you can spot a taker a million miles away because a taker will never show you appreciation. I mean, they can carbon copy what you do. And you can tell them, look, I saw you do that. They don't even realize where they got it from. And they'll start bragging about what they did because they don't even remember how they even came up with that idea, which they didn't come up with. What's so dangerous about takers is takers will come into your life under the guise or disguise of loyalty. Also, they'll appear very dedicated. But one of the things you'll notice about them is that they don't really have the capacity for execution or the discipline to develop anything. In other words, takers need a template. And so they get close enough to you so they can try to gather and aggregate the DNA of what you did. They want to get the template because they can't design things themselves. They don't have an original bone in their body. They just want to get close to your life so they can try to duplicate what you did and then pass it off as an original. So those are takers. But then the third type of person, and this is my favorite person, and this is the person that's not a waste of time. The third type person is an incubator. I love incubator. You know what an incubator does. If you can remember, those of you that have children or you've ever been to the hospital to visit somebody that had a baby, and they put the babies in incubators. It was this environment that almost simulates a womb. It provides a warmth and a comfort, allows the baby to have this comfortable transition into the real world out of their mother's womb. There's nothing like an incubator. An incubator is somebody who personifies what it means to have a high level of consciousness, to have a great degree of capacity, and who show commitment. That's what an incubator is. They have the attributes of a high level of consciousness. They're very aware, and we're going to talk about these 3 C's in a moment, so you can write them down. An incubator has a high level of consciousness. They have great capacity, and they have intrinsic commitment. They're the type people, when they come around you, they're not just there to see to look good because they're with you or to see what they can get from you. But incubators are people that come around your life just because they really like you. They really admire you. They really respect you. And they want to understand what are the disciplines that make you who you are. I always say this. I always say that if you get who you need, you don't have to worry about what you need. And that's what incubators understand. Incubators are loyal, and they offer themselves to be of service to you because they know that through serving, they will learn what they need to become who they're supposed to be. That's the key with an incubator. An incubator's motive is, I'm not trying to be you, and I'm not just trying to get something from you, but I want to become the best me. And so I'm not trying to copy you or duplicate you, but I want to understand the things that make you who you are. My father has shared with me, oh my God, I could write volumes of books with all of the wisdom and insight that he's given me. But I think one of the greatest nuggets of wisdom that my father ever gave me was, he said, Ricky, I don't want you to duplicate me. He was like, you don't have to lead the way I lead. You don't have to preach the way I preach. You don't have to have my personality. But what he said to me is I want you to get the character that produces who I am. Morris said, blow my horn. That's what my father told me. He said, I want you to get the character. Let me blow this horn for more. There you go, man. Whenever we say something great on this show, we have to blow the horn. But what my father told me is, I want you to get the character that produced me. In other words, what he was telling me is, Ricky, I want you to become an incubator. Through your serving, through your being around me, I want you to engage me so that you can get from me the things that you need to become who you ought to be. And so I'm speaking to both sides of this relationship. Because if you're a person who say, I want to grow and develop, well, you need to make sure that you're not a waster and that you're not a taker. That you're not somebody who connects to people just to see what you can get from them. And also you want to make sure you're not somebody that gets around people just so you can try to be them or duplicate them. What you want to be is an incubator. Here's the power of an incubator. An incubator not only recognizes the worth of the information they receive and the ideas they're exposed to, but they make themselves accountable to the person that's facilitating the transfer. An incubator is somebody who says, I want you to see what you're worth to me. So they're not just, an incubator is not somebody that when a mentor is saying, let's go to lunch, they're always expecting the mentor to pay. Sometimes the incubator say, hey, look, I'm going to pay for this because I know the value of it. Or let me send you a quick cash app because I know you didn't ask for that, but I just want you to know how much it means to me to receive what I'm getting from you. So there are three characteristics of an incubator. And this is so important because if you want to maximize the potential that you have, if you want to become everything you ought to be, it's important that you have these three attributes in your life so that when you come across somebody that has something to add to your life, so that you can approach them and engage them in the right way. On the other hand, if you're a mentor, it's important for you to be able to assess who's coming to you and who's coming to receive from you. I'm always getting requests from people who want me to mentor them. And I'm going to share an email in a moment. If you're looking for mentorship or coaching in your life or leadership development, I want to be able to offer that to you. But in doing that, there's some characteristics that I look for. There are three things that you find in the life, in the DNA of an incubator. Number one, a person who's an incubator is somebody who has a high level of consciousness. What that means is that they have an awareness and an appreciation for the insight and information that's being shared with them. And they put a high level of significance on the life of the person who's sharing the information. So the first characteristic of an incubator, my brain is going faster than my mouth. The first characteristic of an incubator is they have a high level of consciousness, which means they have a great awareness and appreciation for the insight and information that's being shared with them. And they put a high level of significance on the person that's sharing it with them. Number two, an incubator has voluminous capacity. That means they have a great volume for responsibility and accountability for the information they receive. And they demonstrate that through their agreement and their alignment with what has been shared through a cognitive commitment. It's not just, oh yeah, I hear you. Oh yeah, that's good. Oh, thanks for sharing it. No, they make a cognitive commitment, and they show that cognitive commitment through definitive decisions concerning their development. So you know when somebody is an incubator, and you can measure their capacity by their cognitive commitment. And you know their cognitive commitment by the decisions they're making, by the choices they're making, which determines their development for their destiny. And then thirdly, The third characteristic of an incubator, I hope you all are getting this tonight, is that they have a high level of commitment. Somebody who's an incubator is somebody who knows how to assimilate what they're receiving into their identity. They make themselves accountable for what they're hearing, and watch this, and they share it with others so those individuals can become who they ought to be. So this is important. If you're going to be an incubator, if you're going to be somebody that knows how to engage a mentor, that knows how to maximize a relationship that can add to your life, it's important that you have a high level of consciousness. It's important that you have capacity to know how to align yourself with what you're hearing, but then that you have commitment. And whatever you do, don't become a waster or a taker. Make sure that you're not connecting to people that you admire just so you can take from them or so you can copy them. But make sure that when you connect to people in your life that you know have something to offer to your life, that you know how to be accountable and responsible for what you get from their life. So in other words, don't waste your time. Now, I know there's a whole nother side to this that we can talk about, and I'm going to go deeper next week into some other things that I think you're going to appreciate and that you will enjoy. But I hope you got something out of this tonight, and I hope that your life is richer. I hope that your life is better. I hope that you will manifest greater because of the relationships in your life. And can I tell you, any relationship in your life that is not adding to your life needs to be disconnected from your life. Let me recapitulate that. Any relationship in your life that's not adding to your life needs to be disconnected from your life. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm so glad that you were here for Life Talks with Dr. RickyAllmon, Leadership After Dark. We're here every Thursday night at 8:30. So I'm glad you joined me. And some of y'all have been just rolling with me for all 13 episodes. Can you believe it? We're 13 episodes in. I need you all to email me. Let me know if this time is working for you. Email me at info@RickyAllmon.org. Let me know, hey, Dr. Allmon, we like it at 8:30, or look, we need you to go a little earlier. I know that I'm dealing with people on different time zones, so maybe you want it a little earlier, a little later. But we're 13 episodes in, so I want to know if this time is working for you, because it's important for me that you are able to be available whenever I come on. Also, if you want mentorship, if you're looking for leadership coaching, maybe you are an organizational leader and you want consulting, you need strategic development for your team, your staff, you're doing succession planning, or maybe you're somebody to say, look, I'm just trying to grow spiritually. Well, just email me at info@RickyAllmon.org. As a matter of fact, I got some exciting things that's going to be coming up mid-July, August that will definitely help you in your spiritual growth. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me, connect to me at info@RickyAllmon.org. Let me know what you think about the show. Let me know if you like what time it is. Let me know if you like the content. If you've got some content ideas, some things you want me to talk about, please let me know so we can add those things into the show. Listen, everybody on the planet ought to have the Life Lessons book by now. If you don't have the Life Lessons book, then I don't even know if you know how to read. No, I'm just playing. But listen, you've got to get the Life Lessons book. If you don't have it, go ahead, get it right now. Get it right now. It's on Amazon. It's on Apple Books. It's on Kindle. You can get a hard copy at my website, RickyAllmon.org, or go to thelifelessonsbook.com. You can get the book right now. Why wait? And if you go through my website, I'll actually sign the book if you go through my website. But even if you go through Amazon, I'll put my autograph in the book. We'll make sure that you get the hard copy, but you can also go to Kindle and download it. You can go to Apple Books and download it, Amazon and download it. If you don't want the hard copy, you just want the ebook, you can get it all there. And then, of course, I have the Life Lessons audiobook, and I'm giving away free audiobooks. I'm giving away free audiobooks. Just email info@RickyAllmon.org, type free download. I'm giving away free audiobooks. It's in my voice. I didn't pay anybody else to do it. I did it myself. So just email me, put free download. I'll send you the code. The only thing I need you to do is to write a review after you've listened to the book. That's all I need you to do. Write a review after you listen to the book. And then there are some of you all that are joining me and my brother, my friend, my ace, Stephen Thurston, every Saturday at 11:30 Central Standard Time. We have a show called The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. It will be streamed. We talk about life and leadership in the digital age. Let me tell you, it is a blast. It's humorous. It's insightful. It's scholarly. It can be scathing sometimes. It's cutting edge. It can be controversial. But join us. So go ahead and set a reminder in your phone, in your calendar, to join us at 11:30. We're on about 30, 45 minutes. Sometimes we have overtime, all depending on what's going on. But join us on that show. This week is going to be an amazing show. We've been in this series about partnership. And so we're going to have some amazing guests, co-hosts on. You don't want to miss it. One of our guests is a historic figure. And I promise you, you're going to enjoy him. You're going to enjoy both of our guests, as a matter of fact, because they're both cutting edge. So don't miss that show this Saturday, 11:30. And then I got to tell you about a book that Stephen has out. He's got a book that he's written called Unplug. And he just helps you to find yourself. I know we've been in quarantine, and some people are going back into quarantine in certain states and cities because, a lot of stuff is going on. But he helps you to unplug, helps you to center yourself, and find your meaning in life and what you ought to be doing with your life, besides just being on social media all the time, other than if you're watching this show. But listen, thank you for joining me. I'm Dr. Ricky Allmon. This is Life Talks Leadership After Dark. I'm so glad you were here. Make sure you share this on your platform. Let other people know about it. I'll see you next week.